Trump just did an interview with Meet the Press. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but he was asked about abortion. He stated that both sides are going to like him on this issue. And when asked if he would implement an outright complete abortion ban, he stumbled around his words for a minute and ended up saying that he's going to talk to both sides and that we're going to agree on a number of weeks or months on when to ban abortion. He says that under his presidency, there will be peace over this issue and that both sides will be happy, both sides will like him. Now, I can't speak for you guys, but for me personally, I will never have peace. I will never be happy until abortion is completely banned and innocent children are no longer slaughtered in the womb at any stage of the pregnancy. Now, this comes after he once again was singing his praises over the vaccine and saying that he didn't get enough credit for it. And this is just a growing trend across the entire nation. You know, the California GOP has fully embraced log cabin Republicans, no longer upholds traditional marriage. They also want to erase their anti-abortion stance from the party platform. Conservatism is really just liberalism going the speed limit. It is incredibly frustrating and disheartening because there's nobody fighting for us. They're too busy vaping and having affairs and lining their own pockets. Conservatism without Christ is just liberalism, but slower.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about this fascinating interview that Trump did with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press, okay? Kristen Welker currently is getting a whole lot of backlash from the left for doing the interview in the first place, right? Because apparently, if you are a left-wing journalist, you're not supposed to talk to people you disagree with politically, okay? And you're especially not supposed to refer to them as president, okay? The left really is upset about Kristen Welker doing this interview, right? To the point where, you know, even she had to address the backlash that she is getting. But what's also happening is that Trump is getting backlash from conservatives for doing this interview with Kristen Welker, particularly when it comes to this issue of abortion, in which Trump, because it seems as if he's in general election mode, gave a general election answer. And now you have a ton of pro-life conservatives that are upset. Okay, they're extremely upset with Trump because Trump won't endorse a federal abortion ban at 15 weeks. So I want to respond to this, okay? And the reason why I want to respond to this is because I'm probably going to be one of the only conservative influencers that is going to be honest with you guys, right? And keep it all the way 100 with you on this issue, okay? And the reason why I'm doing it is because I want to win, right? There are a lot of people that can come out here and say whatever, okay, for virtue signaling points, because for them, they're well aware of the political realities of this issue, but it doesn't matter because they don't really care who wins, okay? They're going to get paid regardless, right? Whether Biden or Trump wins, they're going to get paid regardless, okay? I personally am in it to win it, okay? I want to win, and I understand the reality of politics. Trump understands the reality of politics, and Trump is trying to do what he can to win, right? And again, that's a problem, okay? That's a problem for him because people are saying that Trump is not being pro-life enough. He is no longer pro-life because he won't commit to a 15-week federal abortion ban. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get into this video. I'm going to show you guys some of the responses that Trump is getting. But if you take nothing away from this video, just take away this. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered, right? Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. And I think Trump understands this. So let's go ahead and play this interview segment real quick.
Mr. President, I want to give voters who are going to be weighing in on this election a very clear sense of where you stand on this.
I think they're all going to like me. I think both sides are going to like me.
What's going to have to happen is you're going to have to,
Kristen, you're asking me a question. What's going to happen is you're going to come up with a number of weeks or months. You're going to come up with a number that's going to make people happy because 92% of the Democrats don't want to see abortion after a certain period of time.
If a federal ban landed on your desk, if you were reelected, would you sign it at 15
weeks? Are you talking about a complete ban?
A ban at 15 weeks.
Well, people are starting to think of 15 weeks. That seems to be a number that people are talking about right now.
Would you sign that?
I would sit down with both sides and I'd negotiate something, and we'll end up with peace on that issue for the first time in 52 years. I'm not going to say I would or I wouldn't. I mean, DeSantis is willing to sign a 5-week and 6-week ban.
Would you support that? You think that
I think what he did is a terrible thing and a terrible mistake.
Yeah. So you see that, you heard that. Okay. There are a lot of people that are upset about this because not only is Trump basically refusing to commit to a 15-week federal abortion ban, but he's also trashing DeSantis for signing a 6-week ban that he says was a terrible thing. Now, what Trump is actually saying here, okay, is that from a political perspective, in regards to winning a general election, what Ron DeSantis did was a terrible thing. He's not saying it from a moral perspective. He's saying it from a political perspective, okay? He's not committing to a federal abortion ban because he knows that committing to a federal abortion ban is the quickest and easiest way to basically lose the general election and essentially reverse progress on this issue. Okay, I want people to understand what's going to happen here, right? In 2022, the thought vote, the 304 vote, the garden tool vote came out and voted in droves. Single young women voted 70% Democrat in a lot of these key swing states that the GOP lost literally because of abortion in response to the federal government overturning Roe v. Wade. In states like Michigan, Democrats put abortion on the ballot to motivate young single Democrats, women, to vote against the GOP, and it worked. That's why the GOP got destroyed in Michigan. Okay, Tudor Dixon had no chance because of that issue. And you have politicians like Lindsey Graham come out and advocate for a 15-week abortion ban after, the GOP kept saying, well, we just want to make it a state issue, right? The whole point of overturning Roe v. Wade is not to ban it outright, okay, or to issue complete and total bans like some people want to do. The point was to make it a state issue, and then you're talking about now pushing a federal ban. So now if you push this federal ban, what happens is that you motivate these people who otherwise probably wouldn't vote. You motivate them to come out and to vote against Trump or to vote against whoever the GOP nominee is that decides to push a federal ban. And then guess what? Democrats take the House. They extend their lead in the Senate. They keep the White House, and then they codify Roe v. Wade into law. So now that the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, it doesn't matter. That pro-life victory basically goes up in smokes, right? Because we insisted that the Republican nominee, we said our Republican nominee has to support federal bans, right? Even at 6 weeks, when we've been campaigning on this being a state issue. I am unapologetically pro-life. I am happy to vote in a state that I can vote in that direction with my morals and values, and it doesn't necessarily cost us politically. However, there are a lot of conservatives in these states that don't necessarily have that luxury. And on certain issues, when you do not have the numbers, okay, on this issue of abortion, Democrats, most people don't want to see late-term abortions. But also, people do think that abortions, there shouldn't be bans before 24 weeks. That's what most Americans believe. Now, me personally, I would vote for a federal 15-week ban. Me personally, right? That's me personally. Hell, I would even go 6 weeks. Personally, right? Personally. And I currently get the option to have that because Roe v. Wade was overturned and Democrats don't have the votes. They don't have the power to codify it into law. But if they do have the power to codify it into law, then I won't have that option anymore. And we're going to see more abortions in this country, looser abortion laws because of it. And because I want to see less abortions, not more abortions in this country, I understand that in order to avoid more abortions, that a Republican nominee for president needs to be moderate on this issue politically, because that is the best way to guarantee that we don't go backwards on the issue, which would effectively allow more abortions in this country, right? If Democrats take back control of the government or have complete control of the government because the GOP decided that, hey, you know what? Our nominee must support federal abortion bans. So you have to accept that, hey, this is the political reality of the country that we live in. And if you actually want to win and not lose all the progress that we've made, you have to compromise. And that is what Trump is doing. Trump is actually playing it smart, right? But he's being destroyed because of it. Let's read here. This guy says, if you are a conservative influencer who has been plugging pro-life positions for years, but you don't have the stones to call this out, you are a coward. Matt Walsh says, an awful answer from a moral perspective. There is nothing terrible about stopping the satanic abortion industry from mass murdering human children. Also, stupid politically, there is no compromise on abortion that everyone will like. It's delusional to think otherwise. And contrary to Trump's claims, almost all Democrats are indeed extreme on this issue. You will be hard pressed to find more than maybe 2 or 3 on the national stage who don't want abortion until birth or beyond. Yeah, this is true. But that doesn't mean that's what their constituents want. And that's why Republicans, when they talk about this issue, they actually should just be talking about Democrats supporting it up until birth and after birth, right? That's what they really should talk about, okay, if they want to win. You can't win over Democrats by going squishy on this issue. It's not about winning over Democrats. Republicans have tried that brilliant strategy for decades and accomplished exactly nothing by it. Defend life clearly and powerfully and unequivocally. That's the only way. I understand the political arguments in favor of Trump moderating for the general. I just think they're incredibly stupid. Where is the voter who would vote for Trump if only he becomes more liberal on abortion? Have you met this mythical voter? I haven't. Such a person doesn't exist. And you may be right about that, right? But that's not what it's about, Matt Walsh. What it's about, Matt Walsh, is it's about people who otherwise wouldn't vote or would not vote against him now deciding that they're motivated to vote against him because of this issue. I don't think anybody thinks that Trump is going to gain voters. He's not going to gain voters. But on this issue, if he does not come out here and promise a federal ban, then at the very least, he won't have people vote against him on it, right? Again, Trump achieved the biggest pro-life victory that we've had in a long, long time in this country, overturning Roe v. Wade. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. You got to understand when you're becoming a hog on certain issues and say, you know what, until the opinion of the country changes on this issue, right, moves in a certain direction, the direction that we favor from a pro-life perspective, maybe we should just take our W, right, and, say, you know what, we'll focus on this issue later on when it's more politically feasible, right? Just saying. I can have my own personal opinions, right? I'm pro-life, okay? In my state, I'm going to vote in that direction. But I understand I share a country with people who don't necessarily agree with me, right? And you got to understand when you have the ammunition to move forward with things and when you don't. Now, there are some issues that conservatives don't need to compromise on, and they shouldn't compromise on because we have the support of the American people behind it. Like, for example, when it comes to the conversation about gender ideology in schools, okay, and kids being able to transition and, biological boys competing against biological girls in sports. On that issue, the GOP is winning, right? You have most of the American people on board with the GOP when polled in a correct way, when they're actually accurately describing the issue in the poll, right? Not those polls that say, well, do you agree with the GOP anti-LGBTQ laws, right? Not those polls, right? But the polls that say, like, for example, do you agree with being able to have explicit adult content pushed in school on children? Yeah, those polls, right, that actually describe the issue accurately. On those issues, the GOP wins, right? The GOP wins. On those issues, we should not compromise because we have the political ammunition not to compromise. Right? I think politically you could push for a federal ban on sex change operations for kids. I think that you can win a general election pushing that because that's just common sense, right? Or, for example, not allowing biological girls to compete against biological boys in sports. You might be able to get away with federal bans on that because you have the support. right? So we don't need to compromise on that, right? If Trump starts compromising on that, then yeah, I think it's legitimate to criticize him and say, yeah, you're compromising on an issue you don't need to compromise on. But on certain issues, you do have to compromise when you don't have the support to push forward, to push further on the issue. That's politics. The baby murder enthusiasts hate Trump and will hate him no matter what he says or does. He cannot win. He can, however, demoralize the staunch baby murder opponents in his own base. That's literally the only thing that can be achieved by moving to the left on this issue or any other issue. It's worth emphasizing again that the Republicans must move left in the general strategy is not some brilliant innovation that Trump just came up with. It's what the Republican establishment has insisted for decades and decades, and they have a long trail of defeat and humiliation for it. Trump has to reject this tired and defunct tactic and instead focus on presenting a very clear alternative to Biden, which means doing the opposite of shifting his own positions in Biden's direction. Yeah, so again, how is this working out for DeSantis, right? I'm just saying, I got a question. In the general election, Trump is polling better than DeSantis is against Biden. Well, why is that? Because a lot of these people who support DeSantis, like all of the Daily Wire, they've been telling us that, hey, we should dump Trump because Trump is not electable in the general, right? Ron DeSantis has more electability in the general than Trump. However, that's not what the polls are showing, right? The polls are actually showing that Trump is doing better versus Biden in the general than DeSantis. Well, why is that? Well, the reason why is because on certain issues, Trump is politically savvy enough to understand that, hey, we ain't got the support, right? We ain't got the support and we've already been fed, okay? I'm not trying to get slaughtered, right? Because that's what happens. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. When you are a hog, you get slaughtered, right? And that, I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. This guy, Graham Allen, says, life begins at conception. The end. I will never stop fighting for a complete and total federal abortion ban. It won't happen this cycle, no matter the candidate. And that's the truth. Yet I will still keep fighting for an American where that becomes reality. Trump's new abortion position puts him solidly in the center. The fictional pro-abortion center held by the editorial pages of the Washington Post and the New York Times. You cannot be a pro-life voter and support Donald Trump. If you claim to be, you are a liar. This is unacceptable and frankly evil. Compromise on the issue of abortion simply means that child sacrifice will continue. I'm so appreciative of Trump and all of his accomplishments, but no past record can outweigh the stance. He needs to change course and fast. Laws protecting the unborn are not a terrible mistake. They are the hallmark of a just and moral society. Governors who protect life should be applauded, not attacked. And while we're at it, men can't become women. This is also based on a simple biological reality and not necessarily for a just and moral society. All right. So again, from a morality perspective, clearly, I agree with my pro-life colleagues. I do. And I support a federal ban personally. Okay. I support that. But I realize the political reality of this issue and that, in my opinion, the rest of the country simply is moderate, right, on this issue. And if you want to win and you don't want to reverse progress that has been in favor of the pro-life movement, then it's probably best to understand when you've won on an issue, right? And accept that, hey, at least at this point, you know, we've made enough progress. Maybe we should make other issues the forefront of our campaigns rather than this issue, which we've already scored a big win on, right? Because now it's a state issue. The quickest way to make sure that it's not a state issue anymore, right, is to push a federal ban, and it's not going to go in the way that a lot of these people think. It's actually going to go in a way in which all of a sudden, again, the Roe v. Wade protections will be put back into place, and now there will be no progress made on the issue because we insisted that we needed to go further and that our Republican nominee, whoever that is, needs to go further, when that's not where the country is at. That's the reality of politics. Again, I am pro-life. I would love to see a federal ban. However, I'm not going to sit here and make this my ride or die issue at the national level when there's so much on the line and so much at stake in this country that, you know, I can't stomach another 4 years of Biden. I'm not going to, right? I'm not going to. And if you have to, you know, compromise, right, on certain issues in order to get that man out of the White House, then this is what you got to do to win, to make sure that we don't go backwards on the issue. However, if people insist that we refuse to compromise on this issue, then that's the quickest way to actually go backwards on the issue and to actually make sure that more abortions are performed in this country, which, again, that kind of would defeat the purpose, right? I'm just saying, because I don't want to see more abortions. I think that the best thing to do is to accept the wins that we have, which is big wins, huge wins, and at least wait until it is politically feasible to continue to make progress on it. That's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm advocating for. But hey, who knows? Okay, maybe I'm wrong on this. Just based off the 2022 exit polls, I don't think so, right? That is a warning shot to the GOP that this is an issue where, again, you might want to be careful, continue to push on it, because it seems like the support is just not there. And you're going to motivate a lot of people to come out and vote against the GOP because these people don't care about anything except this issue. They are radicals on this issue, and you don't want to have these people essentially controlling the direction of this country. Just saying. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.